When I was in Detroit years ago, and you had Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups, both were all-stars in their own right, both did a lot of really great things. There were nights when you could tell that, Chauncey was he see Rip wide open and he take a shot, and other nights where he kicked the Rip and Rip would see Chauncey wide open behind the three-point line, look him off and take a shot. It happens. But to me, the only way it becomes a problem is when you let that competitive, not necessarily get in the way of decision making, but become an issue you can't move past. Like if that happens in a game or two, and you guys have beef that lasts 3, 4, 5, 6 games on a row, that's a problem. But when it happens every now and then, it's part of the business of being an elite player and being on a really good team. I would be more concerned if there wasn't this closeness between them in terms of talent, yet you still had guys who were doing it. I mean, not to pick on anyone, but if let's say, let's just say Tremont Waters, for example. Let's say if he were playing more and he'd have 2 or 3 games where he's in there and he's looking at Tatum and he decides to do his own thing. That's a problem because no disrespect to his game, but where you're at and where Tatum at are not really that close. Whereas Jaylen and Jayson
So why hasn't somebody put Marcus Smart in his place yet?
You know what?
Hard to do that.
I will not accept Marcus Smart slander.
Adam, you want to tell him? You want to tell him to his face there, Adam? You want to see how that goes for you?
I will not.
I don't have the balls to do that.
Marcus Smart slander. No, I will take those 27% shooting from 3-point range as long as I get that elite defense and an occasional 3 in the fourth quarter.
No, I love the man, and stepping.
Do I cringe when he shoots? Hell yeah! It's like everyone else, I cringe too. I do.
No, honestly,
I love that dude, man.
Honestly, I don't. I mean, I don't buy into the I'm a great shooter when I take great shots. I do think
I love that comment.
I do think he's a good shooter. In fact, I think he's an above average shooter, but I
don't.
And I have been, trumpeting his potential from 3, comparing him to the likes of, growth wise to the likes of like where Kyle Lowry started to where he's at now. Like I think Smart in a certain universe actually has a relatively high ceiling, not with Tatum and Brown, but maybe later in his career, depending on how things play out. But I was
going to say, is that Kyrie land you're talking about?
No. Yeah, okay. It's the flat Earth. I love Marcus Smart. But to further praise Marcus Smart, what he is doing on the floor this year in very brief, short sample size, a few games, but I'm loving his shot selection. I mean, he's not going out jacking up threes left and right like he was doing in the playoffs and, save them from time to time, quite frankly, in the postseason, but also cost them at moments too. I really like what he's doing offensively right now.
It's hard for me to be hard on Marcus Smart because he plays so hard and he does so many of the things that I'm convinced if you're putting together a team that's going to compete for a championship and legitimately compete, you need a guy like Marcus Smart. To me, he is this team's James Posey. He's that guy that does a lot of dirty work that when you start going down a pecking order of who your best players are, he's probably not going to be the first, second, or third guy that comes to mind. But then when the conversation shifts to, okay, how are we going to win a playoff series? How are we going to advance? And you start saying, well, who are the key guys? He's usually the first or second guy that is mentioned in those type of conversations. And there's value in what he does. Is his 3-point shooting mind-blowing and frustrating at times? Hell yeah. But I know what I'm getting with him, and I'm getting everything he has. I never feel as though when the final horn sounds, Marcus Smart held something back. I always feel that everything he had to give me, he gave out there. And typically, it's enough to, at a minimum, allow you to compete in that particular game and in a particular series. So again, he is a flawed player. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's easy to see. But the intangibles that he brings to the table, the energy, the effort, the leadership, all those things, I'm buying that every time because I've seen in Boston, I saw when I was in Detroit, you need to have 1 or 2 guys that have those type of skills that they can bring to the table. And Marcus Smart has that and then some.